across the metro area. It's been wet the last few days. We've had these batches of heavier showers push through like we're seeing now in the city of New Orleans. There is a flash flood warning in effect for the metro area, both sides of the Mississippi River. It's this green blinking box. It includes Metairie, the city of New Orleans, the west bank of Jefferson Parish, and Orleans Parish as well, into parts of St. Bernard Parish. As the storm has pushed through, it's giving some pretty intense rainfall rates. And since our ground is so saturated, we've gotten so much rain this morning and really over the last day, it doesn't take much to initiate some flooding concerns like we are seeing now. So there's a flash flood warning in effect for the metro area. That'll be with us for the next several hours as the rain comes down within this thunderstorm. Plus, we've already seen so much rain, you'll probably run into some isolated pockets of street flooding possible on your afternoon across the metro area, or at least some big puddles across the area and some ponding on the roadway. So make sure you're driving carefully through the rest of today, because we'll have the ground kind of wet and soggy with the rain that has already fallen. Plus, we're tacking on more rain with these thunderstorms. So the rest of the afternoon, the storm activity will be spotty. Not everyone will see heavy showers and storms, but along this boundary over the last few hours, these storms have reinitiated and have been setting up. At least they do have some movement to them. They are moving to the east around 10 to 15 miles per hour, so they're not just sitting over the area, which is great news. However, they are dumping a lot of rain in a short amount of time. So that's why we're going to watch for isolated street flooding concerns through the rest of the afternoon with these scattered storms. So here we go with a wider look across the region. Here's that boundary of showers and storms across our river parishes into the metro area. And along the coast, we've got some rain and storms for Cocodrie. A big section of the South Shore is not dealing with a lot of rain, so it's not everywhere. On the North Shore, also not seeing much rain at all. We've got this one storm that's moving over the lake and moving into Tangipahoa Parish along I-55. So the storms today, while they will be hit or miss, can produce heavier downpours, and we'll have to watch for some localized street flooding through the rest of the afternoon, especially considering how much rain we've gotten over the last 2 days or so. So just keep that in mind. You may have to take an alternate route, for your lunch break or even on the ride home. We could have some pretty wet roads out there, and standing water may be an issue through the afternoon. Even as the rain stops and weakens, you know how it goes around here. When it rains, sometimes the water lingers for a few hours after, even after the storm has wrapped up, the water sometimes lingers. So hopefully, you can take an alternate route for your afternoon errands and things like that. And as we get into the rest of today, we'll continue to see these scattered storms, but by the evening hours, by dinner time tonight, a lot of these will have wrapped up and ended. So it's not going to be all the way through the night, not like last night. It's just going to be an issue through the afternoon. And once we get to about 6 o'clock dinner time tonight, the storms will be really winding down and wrapping up. So if you're just joining us now, it is 1:18. There is a flash flood warning for the city of New Orleans and for parts of Jefferson Parish. It's this green blinking box that includes Orleans Parish, parts of Jefferson Parish, and St. Bernard. As this batch of heavy showers moves in over the metro area, we've got some lightning within the thunderstorm as well, and some brief gusty winds. But it's the heavy rain we'll have to watch that will move in off and on through the course of the afternoon. So expecting more storms today for sure this afternoon with heavy downpours. It could easily trigger some isolated street flooding because of all the rain we've picked up the last few days. It won't take much. So just take that into consideration. You may have to take a different route for your ride home this afternoon. If you've got to go to a doctor's appointment, pick the kids up. It may be a little bit of a nuisance in a few spots with these heavier showers and possible street flooding that we could be dealing with this afternoon. So I did want to send you back to your regular programming. We are going to continue to watch the situation on our app, our free streaming app, WWL Plus. You can download it on your TV. We're going to continue on Facebook, YouTube, social media, things like that. So we're going to switch over to digital if you want to continue watching and finding out more about what you can expect for the rest of the week into tomorrow, because we do have more storms on the menu tomorrow, and then what's happening this weekend. Luckily, the weekend will be dry, but we'll have all of that for you over on WWL Plus. So thanks for tuning in and have a safe rest of your Thursday.
This has been a severe weather alert from WWL Weather, sponsored by Egan Insurance Agency.
Thanks so much for sticking with us. And if you're just joining us here on 120 or at 120 on your Thursday afternoon, we're here tracking the latest with the heavy rain and storms. And we've had this boundary of rain and storms set up over the metro area this morning. Early today we saw a lot of rain. We saw a lot of storm happening very early this morning. Then we got a break and then they kind of picked back up again. So because of this, we have a flash flood warning in effect for the metro area because of this storm that has dumped a significant amount of rain in a short amount of time. But the reason why we're getting these flood warnings so easily today is because the ground is so saturated. We had a bunch of rain this morning. We had a bunch of rain yesterday. So with that, it doesn't take much from these storms to kick off some flood warnings. So again, that flash flood warning here is in effect for the next couple of hours for the metro area. It's this green blinking box. It does include Metairie, the city of New Orleans, both sides of the river, and into parts of New Orleans East and for parts of St. Bernard Parish, including Chalmette. This heavy batch of rain luckily has some movement to it, so it's not going to park over the city. However, you can see the deep reds, that color there on your on the radar indicates some pretty intense and heavy rainfall. So that's why we're going to be watching for isolated street flooding through the rest of the afternoon, as these passing showers can dump some significant amount of rain on top of what we've already seen. It won't take much. So make sure you drive carefully the rest of today. You may have to plan an alternate route. You know, there may be some nuisance puddles and some ponding on our roadways like what we see sometimes when we get some rounds of rain. So definitely want to be patient this afternoon. You may have some soggy, wet weather to deal with if you're picking up the kids, going to a doctor's appointment, running errands. But luckily, I think by this evening, by dinner time, and even the commute home, while we could still have some standing water, I think most of us will be dry by this evening. But you know how it goes. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for it to recede, the water to recede, and for everything to kind of catch up. So just keep that in mind. Even though the rain is going to weaken and subside, even within this storm, we're starting to see it continue to push to the east and weaken a little bit. There could still be some standing water over the next few hours. Always something we have to watch this time of the year when we get these thunderstorms rolling in. So the storms are really not for everyone. You get a break in the rain in a few spots. I know the lakefront earlier had to deal with some heavy rain. Now the lakefront is dry. The core of the storm itself is over uptown New Orleans, so that's where the heaviest of the showers are now, continuing into Algiers on the west bank as well, continuing into the French Quarter, and also this thunderstorm reaching all the way to Chalmette. So we've got some lightning within that storm, some gusty winds, probably up to 30 miles per hour or so, but it's really the heavy rain, the biggest thing we'll have to watch, because we've got the heavy rain from the storms, plus all the rain we've accumulated the last few days. Doesn't really take much for street flooding to be a concern. So I'll kind of widen out the look here to see what's happening across the region. A big section of the South Shore is not dealing with a whole lot of rain. It's really just along this boundary that stretches from the river parishes to the metro area. So the river parishes have been dealing with scattered heavy rain and storms, and they're continuing to see some heavy showers and storms through St. Charles Parish now. Luling seeing some heavy rain back west along the Mississippi River into the rest of the river parishes. We've got some isolated rain down the bayou for Thibodaux, but a lot of the bayou parishes are dry, though we do have some coastal showers and storms for Cocodrie, and for Lower Plaquemines Parish, we're seeing a few spotty storms as well south of Port Sulphur. But the biggest, rain that we've seen so far, at least throughout the later morning into the early afternoon, is along this boundary that moves from west to east in the metro area. So that's really the concern, is to watch for isolated street flooding for the metro area this afternoon, because we'll still have some passing rain and storms the rest of the afternoon. Also looking on to the North Shore, not a whole lot. We've got this one storm over Lake Maurepas, so some rain happening along I-55, and a storm setting up over southern Tangipahoa Parish. We've got some showers over Lake Pontchartrain. Light rain starting to make its way onto the North Shore. In St. Tammany Parish, we've got some light rain starting to work its way in, but not a whole lot of rain for the North Shore now. Actually, the North Shore is mostly dry, and so is South Mississippi. Not a whole lot of rain at all. Maybe one little shower here in Hancock County, but that's really it in northern Hancock County. The big concern will be, how does this boundary continue to evolve through the rest of today? We'll likely see more storms firing up along this kind of conveyor belt as it moves from west to east. We'll have to watch for heavy downpours. Rainfall rates are certainly on the higher end of the scale here. So if I do a rainfall rate analysis and zoom in, 2 to 4 inches per hour over uptown New Orleans. That's why we'll have to watch for that street flooding across uptown now, and really the vulnerable parts of the city that flood easily. Since we've gotten so much rain, we've got these downpours pushing in. We'll have to watch with these intense rainfall rates, with maybe some localized street flooding through the course of the afternoon. Not for everyone, but we know how it goes when we get these higher and intense rainfall rates of 2 to 4 inches per hour. So that's quite a lot of rain. And looking back over the last 24 hours, radar estimated rainfall totals pretty high across the South Shore, anywhere from 2 to 4 to 5 inches of rain over the last day and a half or so. We've picked up several inches of rain in parts of the South Shore over the last day. So again, like I mentioned, it won't take much for us to see street flood advisories, to see flash flood warnings, and that's the reason why you're hearing me now. The reason why we're still talking to you now is, of course, we want to bring you the latest, but the big thing is, if you're just joining us, there's a flash flood warning in effect for the city of New Orleans. It includes this storm here that's parked over the city. It's this green blinking box here. So it's 1:26 on your Thursday afternoon. We can go ahead and kind of bring you what you can expect through the rest of today into tomorrow and what the weekend is looking like. So obviously we've got some storms happening scattered across the area. That'll be the trend through the afternoon and early evening. That's why we've had this weather impact alert this afternoon, because we could see some isolated street flooding. Make sure you're just checking in with us. Download our app as well, because you can watch live radar and see how things are going. You may have to take, a different road home that you normally take, maybe have some water standing on it. You may have to take a different route home today. Just want to put that out in your mind now, just so it doesn't catch you off guard. Hopefully by the time you're heading home from work, you won't have to worry about it, but just in case, it's better to prepare for the worst in your mind and then be relieved when you don't have to. So you may have to take a different route home. You may have to deal with some puddles. You may have to slow down on your way home, because we know how it gets with the standing water. Sometimes it takes a few hours for it to relax and recede. This is Bourbon Street. The rain is really coming down across the quarter now. Big raindrops, heavy downpours. Hopefully everyone remember their umbrellas and their rain gear. 80 degrees right now. It's been muggy, it's been humid today. Today through the afternoon, we'll stay in the 80s. We'll have some more passing showers and storms throughout the course of this afternoon. So here we go with precision cast through the rest of today. The model is doing okay with what's happening now. It's depicting some showers and storms, on the South Shore, which is what we are seeing. So that'll be what we have to deal with until midday. So this is through 3 o'clock. More storms in the mix for us. And then by tonight, around 5, a lot of the area is mostly dry. So I think by the drive home tonight, mainly dry weather settles in. Overnight should be pretty quiet and dry as well. Tomorrow, though, we're still not done with storms. Tomorrow, our front finally comes in, and as the front pushes in tomorrow in the afternoon, we'll have more scattered showers and storms on Friday afternoon through the early evening, and we'll have to watch for some heavier rain tomorrow and isolated severe storms with gusty winds and maybe some small hail and lightning, in addition to the heavy showers on Friday in the afternoon and early evening. So more rounds of rain on tap tomorrow. We're still not in the clear just yet. Tonight, though, after our stormy afternoon, tonight mostly dry, pretty muggy. Temperatures fall to the 70s tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, back in the upper 80s in the afternoon, warm and humid, a little sun, but we'll have the scattered storms tomorrow in the afternoon and early evening. We get to the weekend, though, that's the highlight. The weekend's going to be absolutely spectacular. The front will actually bring us lower humidity, so the weekend will be less humid, warm and pleasant. Lots of sunshine. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s this weekend, so looking forward to a beautiful weekend. However, we have to get through a stormy Thursday and a stormy Friday, so we'll bring it back to your radar and we'll go over kind of what's happening again, and then we can send you on your way, because I know everyone's busy. It's Thursday. People are getting their work day on and they want to know what's going on. So we'll zoom in and talk about the current situation. Here are those storms impacting the South Shore, the metro area, especially on the West Bank. This storm has fired up along this boundary west of the Mississippi River on the West Bank now. So I'll zoom in. Marrero, Lapalco Boulevard, seeing the heavy storm roll in west on the West Bank now. So we've got some lightning within this thunderstorm that's continuing to impact the East Bank as well. Uptown New Orleans, heavy downpours along Pratania, uptown, this section of New Orleans, into, parts of the quarter seeing the heavy rain still. The quarter seeing the heavy downpours like I just showed you on Bourbon Street. Back on the West Bank to Tarrytown and Algiers, heavy downpours as well within this thunderstorm. And then that continues into Chalmette. So this is really that big storm that prompted the flash flood warning is starting to drop more to the southeast, and things are improving. Like Kenner and Metairie, it's not raining anymore. It's dry, but that is kind of the trend. These move pretty swiftly on by towards the east, and they continue, to dump the heavy rain, but luckily they don't linger all too long. So that's really the highlight with these storms. Again, still seeing the heavy showers and storms for our river parishes from Laplace to Luling, really hugging right along the Mississippi River now. That's the one boundary we're going to have to watch for the rest of the afternoon as the storms fire up along that boundary. Back on the South Shore towards the bayou, a couple showers for Thibodaux and Houma, northern Lafourche Parish as well, seeing some scattered showers. Not a whole lot of rain for a large section of the South Shore, but we've got some coastal showers and storms as well. And down in Lower Plaquemines Parish, some showers and storms. North Shore, still not a whole lot, but we are going to start to see some rain on the North Shore. We are seeing some rain happening along I-55 and in southern Tangipahoa Parish and along the Causeway. We're starting to see some showers move into St. Tammany Parish along the lakefront on the North Shore. So don't be surprised if you get some rain in Mandeville. A couple showers, not a lot of rain for the North Shore, but still some passing rain possible. The highest rainfall amounts, though, look to be on the North Shore. We're tacking on top of what we got the last 24 to 48 hours plus this. That's why we'll have to be extra vigilant when it comes to potential street flooding. So again, make sure you're driving carefully. You're taking it easy on the roads. You may have to take a different route. You may have to drive slowly, maybe a little bit of an inconvenience this afternoon driving around. But storms should be winding down by dinner time, and by dinner time tonight, the roads should be mostly good. However, we know how it goes. Sometimes it takes some time for the water to recede and catch up, so you may have a little bit of a nuisance drive home, but largely the rain should be done by this evening. So thanks for tuning in. We will, of course, break back in to programming and online to bring you, breaking news if anything else pops up. But at this point, what you can best prepare for is just a stormy afternoon and a bit of an inconvenience when it comes to driving in a few spots across the metro area. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back for the WWL Louisiana News at 5.